Hare Krishna. We continue reading from the Bhagavad Gita as it is, 9th chapter. Text 1, we are in the purport, middle of the purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. I'll just quickly read the translation. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "My dear Arjuna, because you are never envious of me, I shall impart to you this most confidential knowledge and realization, knowing which you shall be relieved of the miseries of material existence." So Arjuna, Krishna is giving this most confidential knowledge of devotional service to Arjuna. Why? Because he's saying, you're not envious of me, not envious. So reading on from the purport, now this first verse has specific significance. The words idam jnanam, this knowledge, refer to pure devotional service, which consists of 9 different activities. So pure devotional service, prema bhakti. Well, maybe it's not even. Even bhava bhakti is pure devotional service. Even sadhana bhakti can bring us to pure devotional service. Yeah. So pure devotional service means where the devotee has no material desire, no desire for liberation, no desire for any kind of mystic perfection, so those ashtasiddhis, no desire for any of these, and is serving Krishna favorably for the pleasure of Krishna, as is being taught by the previous acharyas. So it's not that, oh, I can just sit down in my head and I say, okay, now I have created a new path of pure devotional service. No, we follow in the footsteps of the previous acharyas. Same like if we want to become an expert doctor, we go to the expert doctor and we learn from him, you know. Similarly, we approach the acharyas and we learn devotional service from them. And we practice the devotional service. So this devotional service, what is it? It consists of 9 different activities. Hearing. What do we have to hear? On the internet, we are hearing more and more. But what are we hearing? We need to hear about Krishna. Hearing from Bhagavatam, hearing from Bhagavad Gita, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Nectar of Devotion. Hearing from the devotees. Hearing from the disciplic succession, chanting. Whole day we like to talk. What are we talking? We need to chant about Krishna's glories, Krishna's names. Remembering. We remember so many things, but remembering Krishna. Serving. We are always serving. If we analyze our activities, we are always serving. We are serving our loved ones, we are serving our country, our society, our nation, our boss, our servants, our children, our siblings, our spouse, parents. A soul, the natural activity of the soul is to serve. But we need to serve Krishna. That is the perfection. That is our Sanatana, to serve Krishna. Now we may say, okay, I'm going to leave home and then I'm going to go to the forest to serve Krishna. Krishna does not ask us to do that. In Kali Yuga, Krishna is saying you stay where you are and you chant Hare Krishna, and that's how you can serve me. So worshipping the deity. We worship so many people. We may worship some famous personalities. We may be some entertainer or some politician or some, I don't know. We may have different personalities we worship, but who do we need to worship? Worship the Supreme Lord. Worship the deity of the Supreme Lord. Praying, vandanam, praying, offer prayers to the Supreme Lord. The best prayer that we can have in this Kali Yuga is chant the Hare Krishna mantra. The easiest, the best. Obeying, that is, obeying is being like a servant. Then maintaining friendship, being a friend to the Lord, becoming the Lord's friend, and surrendering everything. Atma Nivedanam. My dear Lord, I am yours. As Srila Prabhupada writes in his prayers on the Jaladuta, I am your puppet, Krishna. Make me dance, make me dance, make me dance. So it may not be easy for us, but we can at least begin by hearing and chanting. Hear regularly hearing and chanting. Then everything else will follow. For us, these two processes, hearing and chanting of devotional service, is very important. We need to do this regularly. By the practice of these 9 elements of devotional service, one is elevated to spiritual consciousness. We simply have to do that. We don't have to do separately endeavor. And we will understand our true spiritual identity. Because it's a science. A science means what? Practical application of knowledge. This is the knowledge we are receiving. We simply have to apply it. And we will see the result. We will become liberated. We will understand our spiritual identity. Krishna consciousness. When one's heart is thus cleared of material contamination, one can understand the science of Krishna. Simply to understand that a living entity is not material is not sufficient. So, we know, okay, I'm not the body, I'm the soul. But that is not sufficient. That may be the beginning of spiritual realization, but one should recognize the difference between activities of the body and the spiritual activities of one who understands that he's not the body. So, okay, understanding I'm not the body, I'm the soul, that is preliminary. But then, okay, if I'm the soul, how do I have to act? What do I have to do? That we need to understand that, because we are the soul and we're going to be acting. We can't sit still. Now, we may say, oh, the activity is due to the body, but a dead body never moves. The body moves only till the time the soul is there. So activity is with the soul, not with the body. It's not with the matter. It's with the soul. So we need to understand what are spiritual activities. Because if we do not have that knowledge, we will again come back to the material world. Even if we understand we are situated on the platform of the soul, we are in the Brahman, we are in the Brahman, I'm the soul, I'm the soul. But the soul is always active. And if the soul does not know what it has to do, it will come back to the material world to act. In the 7th chapter, we have already discussed the opulent potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, his different energies, the inferior and superior natures, and all this material manifestation. Now in chapter 9, the glories of the Lord will be delineated. So Krishna is omnipotent. We say God is omnipotent, right? So he is omnipotent. And what are these potencies? He has the spiritual potency. He has the material potency. He has the marginal potency. Marginal is us, the Jivatmas. We are also potency of Krishna. The inferior potency is the material energy. The superior is his spiritual energy. The Sanskrit word anasuyave in this verse is also very significant. Generally, the commentators, even if they are highly scholarly, are all envious of Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Even the most erudite scholars write on Bhagavad Gita very inaccurately. So it's not that if anyone has written the Bhagavad Gita, they are all understand Krishna. There's so many translations of Bhagavad Gita in the market, so many, and more are coming up. Everyone wants to speak on Bhagavad Gita. But do they actually know who's Krishna? Now, I may be a good scholar. I may be very learned. I may be a very great Sanskrit reciter. I may be a very great logician. But if I'm still envious of Krishna, I will not be able to understand Bhagavad Gita. Because they're envious of Krishna, their commentaries are useless. The commentaries given by the devotees of the Lord are bona fide. No one can explain Bhagavad Gita or give perfect knowledge of Krishna if he's envious. Krishna says that it's only by devotional service that I can be known. Bhaktya mam abhijanati. Only by devotional service. So if we are envious, then we are not going to engage in devotional service. And then what will happen? then we will not understand Krishna. Then we will continue to remain in the material world. Even if we get liberated, we'll again come down to the material platform. Why? Because we didn't surrender to Krishna. Krishna says those who surrender unto me can very easily get liberation. Devi hi esha gunamaya mam maya duratyaya mam eva ye prapadyante mayam etam tarantite. So the devotees are non-envious, the pure devotees. They're not envious of Krishna. They want to please Krishna. And so that they know Krishna and they can tell us about Krishna and they can bring us to Krishna. We simply have to hear from them. One who criticizes the character of Krishna without knowing him is a fool. So such commentaries should be very carefully avoided. Many people say, oh, Krishna, he's this, he's doing Ras Leela, what is he doing? He is playing with the gopis, this. But because we don't understand Krishna and we are simply criticizing, we need to understand Krishna's position. And much of our knowledge comes from the media, the TVs or TV serial or comic books, but they don't know Krishna. They just want to sell what they are selling. So we need to hear about Krishna from the devotees because Krishna is known by the devotees. Krishna reveals himself to the devotees. For one who understands that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the pure and transcendental personality, these chapters will be very beneficial. Krishna is the Supreme Lord. And Krishna says, just try to understand my nature, try to understand my activities, try to understand my birth, and by doing that, you will never come again to the material world. Janma karma chame divyam evam yo veti tatvata tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti mameti so arjuna. Krishna says this in the 4th chapter when he's giving Divya Gyan to Arjuna. He's giving him the Gyan. So he's saying, you try to understand me. Don't be envious of me. You try to understand me. And by just understanding Krishna's position in truth, not what we think of what Krishna is, not what we think what Krishna should be, no, but understanding him in truth. Then it's very beneficial for us. We can go back home, back to Godhead. Is that all right?
Yes. Yes. For this one,
Yes.
it is written that knowledge of bhakti and realization of Krishna by non-enviousness.
That's right. Yes, thank you. By non-enviousness. Engaging in bhakti. So how can we surrender to Krishna? Krishna says, surrender to me. We just begin to hear about him. We chant Hare Krishna. We begin to chant Hare Krishna, begins our surrender. That's our surrender. That's how Lord Chaitanya is so merciful. You know, he just says, you start chanting. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, doesn't matter. You don't have to change anything. You just include the chanting. So that is the special, special mercy of Lord Chaitanya. Thank you so much for listening and enjoying in Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Hare Krishna.